What's up, guys? Welcome to Neek, which stands for Nerd/Geek, and if that relates to you, I would consider clicking that subscribe button. So, Crisis on Infinite Earths, the big crossover event for the Arrowverse, started happening a couple days ago. Started on Sunday night, and the first 3 episodes are out, and there's a break until the last episode for January. So I'm gonna talk about the first 3 episodes. This will have spoilers for all 3 episodes, so if you've not seen the episodes, please do not watch this video. Don't get it spoiled. Go watch the episodes, then come back. Okay, so how I'm going to do this, I'm going to give my general thoughts, then I'll go through each episode individually, and then I'll do kind of close it off with some thoughts again. So, general thoughts on this, I've just had a bunch of fun watching it, seeing all the different cameos, how they're bringing on the people from the different universes, and I just love it because this is the first time that the Arrowverse has had the multiverse since season 2 of The Flash, so that was 4 years ago, and yet besides one character in Elseworlds, the Flash from Earth 90, besides that one character, until this crossover, they had never brought someone in from another universe. And then in this crossover, you just got him everywhere. And every episode you have characters from other TV shows, other movies. It's just a lot of fun to see them all together. And there's a bunch of things that you just didn't think would happen. The return of Tom Welling as Superman after Smallville, playing Superman from Smallville. And it's a bunch of what if scenarios that you just dream of happening, and then this crossover actually allows them to happen. And then also there's just been some other just really great moments. You have there's been some emotional deaths and just some other things, and it's just fun, even some of the individual scenes. And they this whole thing about the world is gonna end. The scope is big, it has big stakes. But my main problem so far with this is the story has been kind of all over the place, because you have the main plot about trying to stop the Anti-Monitor, but the first episode, the first episode is actually pretty a straightforward plot. There's a couple little side plots, but it's pretty straightforward. But then the second episode just goes, there's I'll talk about more in the other thing. There's a bunch of plot lines going on. They want to give everybody something to do, so it just seems too overstuffed. And then the third episode also has quite a bit of plot lines. It's not as many as the second. So I think overall it doesn't really feel connected as one story. There's just a bunch of mini storylines to get those different cameos and stuff. So I feel if it could have a better connected plot, that'd be better. But still, this crossover is really awesome. So episode 1, this is the Supergirl episode, and you can definitely tell it's a Supergirl episode, but it's not really overdoing the Supergirl aspects of it, which I thought is good, because sometimes in these crossovers, the certain episodes in it kind of overdoing it and just really make it about that stuff, and then the other characters are just kind of there. But it maybe was a little too much Supergirl at some points, but I don't think it was overdone. And then this one definitely was the most focused on a plot. We have Harbinger, so the antimatter wave is going to destroy Earth 88. So Harbinger brings all the different heroes. We have Flash, Green Arrow, Mia, the Atom, Batwoman, and White Canary. Brings all of them, and then they have to fight to protect this tower. Oh, and Superman. Fight to protect this tower, and that's just the main plot line. And then there's a couple little side plots. One, to get Baby John, except it's kind of weird the way they do with it about making it with the old Oliver and stuff that didn't really go anywhere. And then the other one is like Alex going to talk to Lena Luthor, which is the part that seems more like really is a Supergirl episode, except yeah, they don't have too many stuff going on. It's pretty focused. You have at the beginning you have like all the cameos and stuff. This one doesn't even have them, or like guest appearances from like other universes, and this one wasn't even the biggest one. But like starting off, or like if this one doesn't have the most, that's gonna be crazy, because you see, and like the beginning you see Alexander Knox from Batman, the Tim Burton and Michael Keaton ones, and it's called Earth 89 because that's when Batman was released. And then you have Burt Ward in Earth 66 because that's when the Batman TV show came out, and that's Robin from that TV show. It's kind of sad that they don't have Adam West there because he's dead, but that was a big surprise. And then also that Titans is part of the universe, you have them, and so lots of big things just in the first couple minutes. And then this episode, it has some other like moments where you have some like a death between Supergirl's mom, and you should have some other great character moments like Oliver passing on like the Green Arrow to Mia, like, and then you have a pretty cool battle against like these like shadow things, Dementors I'm just gonna call them. And then you have like some really cool fight scenes and stuff with it. And then you have the end with the sacrifice of Oliver, which I was kind of annoyed when they did this because I know he's going to be in the rest of the episodes. They're doing this and it's kind of stupid. They're going to make it seem like, oh, we killed Oliver in the first part, even though I knew he was going to come back. And he did, but then he died again in the third episode. But then in the trailer for the fourth and fifth, he comes back, and it's just like, why did you have to do this? You could have just kept him alive throughout this thing, made him a Paragon, and then he would just be with the other people. You don't have to do this. It's just stupid. Well, anyway, yeah, my other main problem with this is, the Flash, like, is barely in it and does, like, literally nothing. He doesn't really have, like, any really memorable moments. He just kind of, like, runs around in the battle fighting the evil people. Like, he has one talk with Oliver about how he has to die in Crisis, but then it really just ends up with Oliver talking to the Monitor. I mean, and all the other heroes really, like, get their moment. Like, Oliver and Supergirl get a lot, and then Superman gets a lot, and then, like, even, like, the Atom and Batwoman have their moments. The Atom, like, they have the moments talking about, like, upgrading the suit. You have, like, Batwoman trying to figure out about the multiverse. White Canary goes to talk with, like, the old Oliver, and, like, all the heroes really get something, like, to do, except Barry. But yeah, overall, this was just, I thought this was a great episode to start it off, to show how the stakes are high. This is gonna be big. You already have, like, this big, like, cool, like, action set piece in the first episode, so it gets you pumped for what's coming next. So now I'm moving on to talk about episode 2 of the crossover, which was the Batwoman episode, and it definitely felt, of all of it, like, of this 3 episodes, this one felt the least like of the episode of the show it was. Like, this one didn't really feel that much like a Batwoman episode. I mean, Batwoman, I think, probably still was, like, the main character of the episode. It's kind of hard to tell because there's, like, a bunch of different storylines, and they try to give everyone a part in here. But I think she'd be the main character, but it still didn't really feel like a Batwoman episode. Like, it only had one character from her cast, well, besides Batwoman. But then it's interesting because this has a lot of things that I was really looking forward to in this crossover, like a bunch of the different cameos and stuff. Except this is also my least favorite episode so far in the crossover, which I thought was interesting. Now, I still liked it, but I did find it kind of a little disappointing. I mean, I think the main problem is here, as I mentioned before, there are way too many plot lines to fit into like the 40 minutes of an episode. Like, one of the plot lines, they have like 3 main plot lines and a couple like minor plot lines. Like, think about it. This plot line, Lex Luthor is going to multiple Earths, killing all the Supermans. Could just be like, that could just be the main plot line. And even what they do with it, like, they visit multiple Earths. You have the Tom Welling cameo. So then you have the Superman that is the Paragon, and then he fights the other Superman. And there's a lot of stuff that they don't even have much time to spend on it. Probably like around, because they have to split it up, probably no more than like 12, I don't know, around 12 minutes or something. That could be basically a whole episode. And then the other plot lines, main plot lines, you have the one with Batman, and this is why it seems more like you can see how it's a Batwoman episode, because it has like the Batman, and it's Kevin Conroy, who played Batman in like all the animated series and stuff, and it's the first time you see him in live action, and I think he does a pretty good job as Batman. I mean, he does a really good job at Batman, and this is like, they do a twist with Batman. This isn't like the normal Batman who's good. You figure out he's evil and stuff, and he's not actually the Paragon. Batwoman's the Paragon, but like, if the Monitor knew that, why did he send her on this? Because she doesn't even find out she's the Paragon. It's like the Atom does with the machine. I guess it's like to help her like on her discovery of how she has courage, I guess. But I thought it was pretty cool twist of how about this different Batman, how he's evil, and you got some other cool Easter eggs, like with all the stuff, like all the villains he's actually killed, and he even killed Superman, which is crazy. And then you have to have Batwoman, who hasn't seen her cousin in like, I don't know, he left Gotham in like 8 years, but then you see that she has to like fight him, and she technically ends up killing him to protect Supergirl. So that also could be like the major plot line of an episode with a couple minor plot lines. And then the other plot line, I felt, because those two were the main ones, kind of is underutilized, and I don't really like this plot line, because this deals with the fact that they killed Oliver in the first episode, and they're like, well, we need to have Oliver come back, so they go to resurrect him, and they use like, already got rid of the Lazarus pits in Arrow, like they can't use them anymore, but then they're like, oh, well, there's more on the other Earths, and they do bring in Constantine, and so you go there, and then they bring back Oliver, but then he doesn't have his soul. So even though Oliver died in the first episode, he's still coming back in every single episode. So I just don't see the point of them doing that. And then you even have some other smaller plot lines with like harbingers, like seeing the memories, like seeing different like things. She's like, not memories, what am I talking about? She has like weird visions and stuff, and then she ends up getting like taken over by the Anti-Monitor, which is the first time you see him in the end of the episode. And you even bring in like this other Wave Rider, which had a Mick Rory, who's like, even though the Legends like aren't like together anymore, he still lives in the Wave Rider, and then he takes care of John Kent, and then yeah, so that, and then you also have the Atom, who is working on this thing to find out about the Paragons. So that's all the plot lines in this one episode. And then also this introduces the idea of the Paragons, and that's what I was trying to say. That's like the big idea. They're trying to find the Paragons, and I think it's cool. I think it's pretty cool how they did, like, there's a couple key people to like save the multiverse. I think that's a pretty cool idea. And also another thing, they bring in Brandon Ruth, I think that's how you say it, back as Superman. He played him in Superman Returns, which it seems like that he's playing the same Superman from Superman Returns, which is Superman Returns is kind of a sequel of the like Christopher Reeve's Superman. It's the first two, so I think this is so he's technically playing them too, and it's cool to see him as Superman. He's like really fits the role, and it's even funny to see him and Roy Palmer like interact because they're played by the same character. And you got like the Superman versus Superman fight, which I thought was pretty cool. Of course, it's not gonna be like a movie level because they just don't have the budget to do it. And then this episode didn't have any like big fight scenes, so I'm glad they had that. But yeah, so I think there was lots of cool things, but there are too many plot lines and not enough time. That's just my main complaint with this episode. So now it's time to talk about episode 3, which is the Flash episode. And this episode might be my favorite. The first one might also be my favorite. I don't really know between the two of them. So yeah, this episode's a really good episode. I have some other problems. This one kind of does seem crowded too. Probably not as crowded. It doesn't have as many things going on. But the thing is, it keeps just adding characters. And they want to spend time with all the characters. I feel like there's quite a few characters that got sidelined. The Flash actually has a really big role because it is the Flash episodes. After getting kind of sidelined in the first 2 episodes, I'm glad he kind of takes center stage in this episode. But like the Superman, the main Arrowverse Superman's like barely in it. White Canary's barely in it. So they do like sidelight some characters in this. But anyway, this one, I feel like, one thing that they could have done differently is with Ryan Choi, the person who they literally introduce as this episode. They're like, oh, there's another Paragon, some random person, and then they go to talk to him, and they spend up quite a bit decent time going like Iris, the Atom, and Ralph like go to talk to him, and they spend quite a bit of time on this, but it's not enough time to you don't fully know this character by the end of the episode, and I don't really think you will in this crossover just because there's so many characters. It's hard to introduce a completely new character because that's really the only like completely new character that we've gotten really in here. So that's kind of, I thought they could have done something like, they could have had him in this 6th season of The Flash. They could have introduced him and have him in these episodes, make a couple appearances in the episodes so far, and then they're like, wait, he's a Paragon? And then they just go visit him, and they can make it quicker, so they don't have to actually introduce him, so they can make it just quicker, like trying to convince him to come. And then also, you'll get to know this character more, so you have more, you like feel like more about this character. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this one actually has Black Lightning. It's the first time he's come in it, and he does some cool stuff. He actually has something to do with stopping the antimatter wave from like exploding, the thing that makes the antimatter wave from exploding, and we finally get to see what happened after Elseworlds when the monitors got rid of like the Earth 90 Flash, and then he just disappeared for the rest of the crossover. And then he never showed up again. I was kind of annoyed with that they wasted they wasted him in that crossover, but they bring him in here, and then he has some great moments with Barry, and then obviously they've been setting up how Barry will have to die in Crisis. And actually, my theory, I mean, I can't prove this, but take my word for it, I didn't just come up with this. I actually had one of my theories is that he said the Flash is gonna have to die. The Monitor never said which one, so I'm like, I think the Earth 90 Flash, because I know he's gonna be in it. I think he's gonna be the one to die, and I was right. But anyway, and then he has a pretty cool, like, emotional death scene. You get to even see a scene like from the original show, which I thought was pretty cool. You also have Pariah in it. Well, I guess he was in the first episode. He showed up like in the last couple minutes, and then he's not in the second episode. Then he shows up here, and I think it's pretty I think is of course it's Nash Wells, but like he's become Pariah, and I think he's a pretty cool character. You have Vibe coming back, like Cisco becomes Vibe again, which I'm really glad they did, because what was I saying? Because that was one of the things I kind of like. One of the things I didn't like about Flash Season 5 is that Cisco got rid of his powers. It didn't really feel like Cisco, because Cisco has like always been the person who's like loved the superhero stuff. He names all the villains and likes it. You think, why wouldn't he want to be a superhero himself? So I'm glad we get to see Vibe return. And then with all the Arrowverse stuff, it just gets more annoying here than it ever was. Because again, they spin this, so they're like trying to get Oliver's soul back now, so they go visit Lucifer, which is actually kind of crazy that he's in it, because that's like from like a Netflix show that they're moving into the CW, so like everything's combined now. He gets a cameo. Also Huntress from the Birds of Prey CW show from like a while ago got a little cameo here at the beginning as her world gets like antimattered away. But then it was kind of weird. I didn't really like the plot line. They like go into like his soul or whatever. It's on the island, and then he shows up for a scene, and then this random dude comes up and he's like, I'm like Spectre or something. Don't come back to life. Come with me. And then that's the end of it. Like, what was the point? So you kill Oliver, and then you spend all this time trying to get him back, and then like you get him back, and then, but you don't. So you spent all this time going nowhere. Nothing was gained out of this, which I think is kind of really stupid. But yeah, that was my main complaint with this episode. And then also, like, as you go towards the end, you have this, you have Harbinger, like, the Anti-Monitor is taking over her. You have, like, this fight scene. It's really the only fight scene in this episode, besides a tiny bit with Oliver for, like, 10 seconds. But, that's another thing I was kind of disappointed with. I feel like they should have had, as this is, like, I'm fine with not having that many, like, big fights, not having a big fight scene in the second episode, having some smaller ones, but there's actually more action in the second episode than this one, and this is the one that, like, is kind of, like, during the break. It's, like, the last one before the break, and it's when the Anti-Monitor, like, completely wipes out. I feel like they should have had a bigger fight scene here. It's, like, the Anti-Monitor, like, who's taking over Harbinger comes, like, knocks Diggle to the ground, but then, like, Anti-Monitor uses his powers. Everybody's on the ground except the Monitor and Pariah, and then the Monitor fights the Anti-Monitor. They have, like, a little beam thing. The Anti-Monitor wins. Pariah sends everybody off, and then the world's gone, which is a big crazy thing. They're like wiping out the complete multiverse, and there's only the 7 Paragons are the only people remaining in the universe, and the Anti-Monitor. Except it's kind of weird how they didn't have, like, I would have preferred if you have, like, everyone regroup, like, we're now ready to take on the Anti-Monitor. They go try to fight the Anti-Monitor, but the Anti-Monitor, like, overpowers them, and they fail, and he destroys it, and then at the last second, Pariah, like, does the same thing. So it's basically the same scene, but it could have been a longer, or at least even do this, but just have a longer battle where everyone gets to fight. I mean, you could have had more time to focus on this battle if you would have done the thing where you set up Ryan Choi earlier in, like, The Flash or something. But yeah, so that's basically my thoughts on this. Well, except also with the ending, very much reminds me of Avengers Infinity War, where the villain wins, and, like, it seems the heroes well, in this it's like everybody except Seven, instead of just like half of the world gets away, but like most of the heroes, you see them all like die, and then you have the heroes who like actually die, and then like the heroes that like die by the antimatter wave, and like I don't think I think the Earth 90 Flash is like dead, but I think they'll bring back the other things, kind of like with Endgame with the dusting. But it's also similar because this is where you get the breaking point where you have to wait to see how they come back. So I mean, they made this after Infinity War, and so it seemed, I mean, they had to like know that they had to do this, like thinking that this is basically what Infinity War did. But I mean, I love Infinity War, so I'm not really mad about that. And then you only have, as I said, the 7 Paragons. You're like, what's gonna happen now? Well, actually, instead of the Superman, you have like Lex Luthor switching it with the Book of Destiny, and now he is now Lex Luthor's the 7th Paragon, or one of the Paragons. So yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 3. So overall, I think these are 3 great episodes. There definitely is some bad things with them, but I definitely think the good outweighs the bad. And you have a bunch of just fun moments with different cameos, some cool action scenes, and I'm definitely excited to see how this all ends next month. You can expect me to do a review of the final 2 parts when that comes out, and I want to do this video where I rank all the Arrowverse crossovers. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Comment down below what you thought about the first 3 episodes of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and keep watching Neek.